Now that we have our views laid out, it's time to add dimensions. So annotation is the next step. You have to label the views, add the callouts, and add the dimensions. I always start with dimensions. So let's start dimensioning the main view, the primary view that has the most features, that will have the most dimensions on it. That is this view right here. Now I want to make sure I'm working on it, so this box should be red. It should be highlighted up here that I'm in the front view, or again what I call the primary view. It's the main view that has the dimensions. And this does not look like a front, it looks like a side to me. So I'm going to double click this primary view, and I'm going to go to annotate. So annotate covers text and dimensions, general notes, flag notes, symbols, section cuts, auxiliary views, and so on. So we will go ahead and go to dimension. There's several different types. For this example, I'm just going to use your regular dimension. If I double click it, it should stay on and allow me to create multiple dimensions. I'll select this line and move this out. I'll select this line and move this out. Click a location, select a line and move this out. Select a line and move this out. Select a line and move this out. Select a line and I'll move this out. Notice I went arrowhead to arrowhead. That is called chain dimensioning. Now, these dimensions need to be converted to inches because currently that mark means it's in foot. It's 0.21 feet. So to do this, you select, I got to turn off the dimensions so it's no longer active, or hit escape. You simply select this dimension, right click, and go to properties. This is a value, so you have arrows over here to go back and forth and look for a tab called value. This tab here is the value tab, and under the main value it is set to feet and inches. I want to use the numDinc, that's the number in inches, so I click on that and select OK, and that's how you convert this to inch callouts. I just clicked on the left side just to get the numbers off of that. Okay, again, I selected on this, right click, properties. Under the value tab, I change this to numDinc. So use this one here, it's the third one down. Select OK. So this part is 2.5 inches tall, 4 inches wide. You can also right click anywhere in the white field and hit display object properties. If I can find the values in here, then it makes it easier. I can just change it right there on the fly. Okay, I see font, style, characters, numeric. If I click on this number here and we don't see it, that's okay. So even if you can't find that little shortcut, the other shortcut is I just highlight the entire view. So I'm going to hit undo, that's Control Z, to the last dimensions. So instead of picking them one at a time, I'm going to click off here and I'm going to create a trap, and it finds all the dimensions at once. I can right click on any one of the dimensions to pull up the contextual menu and select properties and look for the tab called value. All at once we can do this numDinc. Select OK, and this part has all the dimensions on there. In fact, it has too many dimensions. Probably one of the biggest questions as a new user is, what dimensions do I need on there? It seems like I have to dimension everything. In this example, it's actually over dimensioned. This 2-inch dimension and this 4-inch dimension are all the dimensions that are needed. Because 2 plus 2 is 4, that 4 is already covered here. If I said 2 and 3 and 4 here, there's no way the shop can build it, and that's how you know it's over constrained. Same with this 1.5 inch dimension. You have the 1 inch dimension here. You have the 2.5 inch dimension here. 2.5 minus 1 is 1.5. Therefore, I don't need this dimension. Remember back when you built this part? You created a sketch and it had to be fully constrained. One of my biggest tips I have for you as far as making sure your part is fully dimensioned is to open your part body and look at the sketch you created for that pad. I'll double click this sketch. Do you see these dimensions here? I have 4 dimensions. Guess what? Those are the 4 dimensions I need on my drawing. These are not actually dimensions, these are constraints. Okay? So you have 4 constraints. The part turned green. If you'll recall, we did an analysis and we know that this profile is completely closed, and we also know that it's completely constrained. Because it's completely constrained, we know that these are the dimensions that the shop would need on the drawing. Now be careful, when you go to the drawing, it'll tell you to update. So you hit update and it gets a bunch of X's, it gets this error and creates a panic situation. Don't worry, close this off. The reason why it happened is in the part, we left it in the sketch environment. Remember, we don't want to lose our link. We're going to open the 3D data and we're going to exit out of Sketcher. So make sure to exit the application and you should always save it. Save it in the camera mode. Close this off immediately, and this part should be saved just like that. Simply hit your save command and save that. Then when you come back to the part or the drawing, you can right click on the sheet 1 and do your local update. And everything will come back so you'll be fine. So do you remember what constraints we had in the sketch and which ones we didn't? We had 4 constraints. This one, this one, this one, and this one. These 2 are undesirable because it is an over-constrained situation. That is how that view should be done, representing the primary view with all the constraints I would need on that view.